You have been doing the spiritual work, reading, meditating, going to the retreats, learning the language, and something still feels off. Like you understand everything, but nothing has actually changed. You still react the same way, and you still end up in the same situations. You still feel the same things that you have always felt. And somewhere deep down, you started wondering, what am I doing wrong? And why is none of this actually sticking? Here is what nobody told you. Spirituality describes the experience, but it doesn't always explain what's happening underneath it. And without that second part, you can spend years collecting insights that never actually land. So let's start somewhere familiar. Something happens to you, a hard period, a relationship ending, a moment of clarity you didn't ask for, and something inside you starts shifting. You notice things that you never noticed before. Your reactions, a way that certain people drain you, the way certain situations make your body feel tighten, and you know something is changing, but you don't have words for it yet. So you go looking, and depending on where you look, you hear completely different explanations for the same experience. One person says you're raising your vibration. Another says your nervous system is waking up. One person says you're shredding old energy. And another person says old emotional patterns are resurfacing. Different words, but they're describing the same person, going through the same thing. And most people pick one side. Either they go full spiritual and the psychological side never gets explored, or they dismiss spirituality completely and lose something real in the process. Both of these leave a gap. But here's the difference. Spirituality describes what transformation feels like from the inside. And that sense that something is shifting. The feeling of things falling away. A strange mix of expansion and grief at the same time. And that's real. When someone says they feel fundamentally different, they mean it. Psychology explains what's actually happening underneath that feeling. What emotional patterns are moving, what the nervous system is doing, and what's driving the reactions that you can't seem to stop. And here's the problem when people only have one of these. If you only have spiritual language, you have the experience, but no real map for what's actually going on inside you. You keep chasing more experiences, more activations, more downloads, more peak moments, hoping the next one will finally make it stick. But it won't. Not because the experiences aren't real, but because experience alone doesn't do the work. And this is the part that most people don't want to hear. Spiritual language, as beautiful and as real as it is, can quietly become a way of avoiding yourself. Here is how it happens. You start describing everything through an external lens. Something outside of you is shifting your frequency. Something outside of you is sending you signs. Something outside of you is blocking your energy. And slowly, the real work, which is in here, gets pushed out there. So you can call your fear low vibration, and you can call your avoidance a misalignment. You can call your emotional patterns an energy block without ever asking, what is this feeling actually trying to show me about myself? And that's not awakening. That's avoidance with better vocabulary. So what's actually happening when someone goes through a real awakening? Their unconscious is surfacing. That's it. And the parts of themselves they have been avoiding, the patterns they have been running from and been on autopilot, and the emotional condition they inherited without even choosing, it all starts becoming visible. And that visibility feels like a shift. It feels like something is moving, like energy is changing, like you're becoming someone new. Because in a real sense, you are. But what's actually changing isn't some external frequency. It's your relationship with yourself. The parts of you that were running in the dark are finally come into the light. And that process has a psychological structure. Understanding that structure is what turns our spiritual experience into an actual lasting change. And here is the most important thing that I want you to understand from this video. You can feel completely transformed in a single moment, and 6 months later realize almost nothing has changed. Same emotional patterns, same reactions, same fears, running from the same behaviors. And that's not because the experience wasn't real. It's because insight is not the same as integration. Understanding something in your mind is not the same as your whole nervous system living differently. You can understand why you shut people out and still shut people out. You can know your reaction is old conditioning and still be completely controlled by it. Because the knowing happens up here, and the patterns live somewhere much deeper in the body, in the nervous system, in your emotional memory that has formed before you even had words for any of it yet. And that's the part spiritual experience alone can't reach. So if you have been doing the work and wondering why nothing is actually sticking, it's not because you were broken. It's not because you were doing spirituality wrong. But it's because you have been working on one half of the equation, the experience side of the equation, without the psychological structure underneath it. You don't need another activation. You need to understand what's actually happening inside you, specifically enough to do something about it. And that's the real awakening. Not a feeling, a level of self-knowledge that actually changes how you live. And if you like this content, follow for more. I'll see you in the next video.